Okay, we are live. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long while since I was doing a live stream here. Um, but I thought, I have actually a little bit of extra time this morning. Broadcasting from Norway. So I thought, you know, instead of making a video about this, I will do a live stream. Now, if you are one of the new subscribers to this channel, I've gotten quite a few new subscribers lately. That's wonderful. Thank you for subscribing. That's awesome. I used to do mostly live streams here, but I thought, um, I I get more views when I do the walk and talk videos here on this channel. So I've been doing mostly that, but I have other videos that are lined up, as they say, for my main channel. So this one, I will do this one as a live stream. In order to be part of this conversation, you have to subscribe to the channel. If you want to be in the chat, you have to subscribe to the channel. I just want to say before we start, hello to the good people here. We have Horror Business, Elk Love, Alex, Angela, Courage is the Cure. It says greetings from Australia. And Mr. Diddlebug is here, Green Eyed Lady. Says Bjorn is live again. Woohoo. Yeah. Now, I have a playlist on this channel that I named Bjorn Ruins Everything. And that's the playlist I use when I'm going to say things that will upset some people. Yeah. Isn't it funny? The term snowflake, and it's usually used by the right wing people towards the left wing people, right? Or what you call it in the USA. You say liberals for the left leaning people. But I have found that we are all snowflakes, are we not? Because when it's about things that we hold dear or opinions that we feel are the true opinions, then we get very upset when those are criticized. So we're all snowflakes, we're all emotional, and it is how it is. We are human. So in this live stream, I will, as a Norwegian sitting here in Norway. Now, I have been in the USA, but I don't claim to know the USA as well as an American does. But I have the advantage that I can look at the USA from the outside. And some people criticize me, saying, why do you care so much about the USA? Well, I'll tell you why. Because American politics affect us greatly. American presidents have this habit of thinking that the world is their playground. So it affects us. Whatever the American president and the American administration does, it seems to affect us here in Europe. Europe not being a country, by the way, and Europe, the EU and Europe is not the same. Like, for instance, Norway is not part of the EU, and so on. Let's get to the point here. I feel that there are more, but I will concentrate on these three things: challenges threatening the USA. And I'll get straight to it, okay? The first one I feel is unhealth. Unhealth. So that means not necessarily being sick, but having poor health. So we call it unhealth, UN health, unhealth. Um, the USA has a very high, um, the, the percentage of people who are actually obese is very high in the USA. There are other countries that are worse, uh, but the USA is up there. It's up there, you know. And obesity, of course, will very often lead to other problems like cancer, diabetes, and all of that. And also depression, you know, most people, well, all people, nobody nobody wants to be fat, you know, it's like you don't want that. And it is due to, well, people eating too much and moving too not enough. But so it's very simple. It's a simple equation. But the food industry has been exposed doing something that they should not do. They are manufacturing, and we're talking about manufactured food like the ultra processed foods um, that make you want to eat more. Now, I try to avoid ultra processed foods, but it's like if you have, the only thing I can think about is potato chips, you know, what do you call it? Chips. Yeah, I don't know what the Americans call this, but if you eat that, you want to eat more. You know, it's that kind of thing happening. Fast food is also, you know, not good. It's not dangerous for your health if you eat at McDonald's once a month, but you're not supposed to do it every day, right? The artificial additives that they put in the food in the USA, I mean, most of that is not even legal in Europe. Um, there's a reason why we don't import food. Well, I guess there are some exceptions, but when I go shopping, grocery shopping, I there is no food from the USA there. Um, but it's unhealth. So the food is one problem. Another problem is the liberal attitude in the USA towards narcotics. Now, it is insane to me that you have an opinion now that has been skewed, that has been distorted away from common sense. So now you will have people actually believing that lots of these drugs, narcotics, recreational drugs, as they say, are good for you. Yeah, I have news for you. They're not. They're not. And as I said from the start, when this started happening, I said, what's going to happen is that they will be adding more and more substances to the list of things that they believe are good for you. We are seeing that now. Um, they are adding, I think I can say the word, psychedelics to that list of things that are good for you. You see this stupid, excuse my language, I'm going to say a rude word here, stupid fuckers sitting there in their podcasts talking about this. And you have complete idiots like Jordan Peterson talking about this. Oh, this is how I used that, and I saw God and all of that. Complete rubbish that they are saying. So that's another problem. The liberal attitude towards recreational drugs, it contributes to unhealth, people getting sick. This should be obvious to every human being, you know, but apparently it's not. So I will also add to the list of things causing unhealth, that there's in America there seems to be among most people a culture of not walking. Not walking. Now in Norway we have a culture of walking. You will see people walking, going for a walk at least once a week. The Sunday walk. That's an expression here. Going hiking in the woods. I know some Americans do that as well, but it's not a common thing to do. When I was driving in California years ago, and I was like, I could see how people need to drive, because you had a shopping mall in the middle of the desert, and I'm like, you have to drive there. You have to drive there, and so it's not so easy. But go for a walk. Go for a walk. But that's not part of the culture. It should be. Now, I know that there are, hiking is big in the USA, but not among the majority of the population. Now, I like driving. I hate public transport. I really hate public transport. And I drive my car every day. Everywhere I go, I drive my car, but I also go hiking. Now, I was just back now from 51 kilometers hike up in the proper wilderness. And it's demanding, but it's good for you. Let's move on, okay? And the other thing that seems to be becoming a threat to the American way of life, the traditional American way of life, is, now I'm going to say Christianity, but you'll have to follow me through here, okay? It's Christianity. Saying that, I'm not saying that if you're a Christian, you're a problem, or that Christianity in itself is a problem. I'm not saying that. I am referring to a form of Christianity that seems to have developed in the USA. We can discuss all day long if this is more true to the original Christianity or not. That's not really that interesting, actually. What's more interesting is what it does to the nation. Now, one nation under God, how many? Can I ask, when was the under God added? Do you know? Do you know? Because it was not there from the start. When it was added? I can't remember the whole thing, but one nation under God, the under God thing. Under God. When was that added? Are people Googling now? I'll say it, if 1954. Yeah, thank you. 1954. So it's a recent thing. And with the current administration, they seem to use religion the same way as it has always been used when you want to subjugate the people. And the founding fathers, they were very, very clear on not wanting the USA to be a theocracy. They were very clear on that. It's in your constitution in the USA. And what we're seeing now is a push towards making, the Bible should be in every classroom and all that. And there is a push to teach the Bible as a fact in schools, and there's a push towards this lie that Christians are being threatened, Christianity is under threat, and all of that. This is will be a segue to my third point here, but so you have to be a little bit patient. I'm not a Christian, but I don't hate Christians, as some people say. I think it's a problem when you have an administration that feels that their version of Christianity is the only correct version of Christianity, and that those principles in their version of Christianity should be guidelines for the nation. I think that's a big problem. That's a big problem. We could have a debate about Christianity. Why are you a Christian? Why I'm not a Christian? And what are the Christian values and all of that? It's interesting. It's actually very interesting. They talk about family values and so on, which I can't see that as being part of Christianity at all. I think it's anti-family, if anything. If you really read the Bible. I got a message the other day from someone, I hope you will read the Bible so that you will see the truth. This assumption that I have not read the Bible is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So this is going to, it's a segue to, I think about a Segway. That's the thing you stand on and you drive these two wheels. But this leads to, hold on, some ginger lemonade. It's not. This is not ultra processed foods, by the way. This is quite healthy. It's good for you. So the third point on my list here is maybe the most important one, I feel. This is coming to us all, but it's very obvious that it's a big problem in the USA now. It's ignorance. It's ignorance. And I'm sure you have seen it yourself when you go online and you see comments under posts on social media. You see the ignorance there in full display. And I think it begins with an attitude that could be called a perception of American exceptionalism. Comment here. True Christianity follows the Bible, which is God's word. No, it's not God's word. That's sorry, but it's not. It's a collection of stories written down by someone who was not there when they happened, and then has been translated, retranslated, edited, re-edited, and retranslated again and again and again and again, and then edited again. So it's not the word of any God. If there is a God, it's not. Sorry. But ignorance is a threat. It's a threat to us all. There's this, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Not effect, but Dunning-Kruger. You heard about that? It's It's this thing when you know just a little bit. Some people, when they know just a little bit, they tend to think that they know it all. And the more you know, the more you know, the more you know that you understand that there's so much you don't know. So ignorance is a problem. It's a problem when you're being told that you're the best, that you're the best, And I think that that can happen to any big nation very easily because, first of all, Americans travel very little outside of their nation. And I believe that traveling to other cultures is necessary in order to understand how the world works. And European countries, we travel more. Um, and I know Australians travel a lot. I think I'm basing that on having met so many Australians when I have been traveling. And when you don't travel, you tend to lose the perspectives that you need to understand how the world works. As a Norwegian, there's a thing called Norwegian exceptionalism too, especially now with this, the football team, they did well in the World Championships. And they came home yesterday, or was it the day before? And the royal family just latched onto that like ticks because of all the bad PR they've had recently with their connections with Epstein. And the footballers, they visited the king and the royal family and all of that. And you saw Norwegian exceptionalism in full display. We think that Norway is the best country on the planet. I can tell you it's not. It's nicer. Norway is a good country, but it's not necessarily the best country, and it's not necessarily the best country for me or you. The taxes here are very, very, very high. When it comes to the USA, I think the USA would probably have been a better country for me. But when I look at the USA, I see this American exceptionalism attitude being a problem. I also see what we call ethnocentrism being a problem, where you think that your nation is the center of the world. The USA is a mighty nation, but it's not nearly as mighty as it used to be. There seems to be if you think about, Russia, China, the whole, what's it called? Is that the BRICS countries? Oh, I can't remember now. Iran, India, Russia, China. Is that the BRICS? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I would point at those countries, and that's probably the power, the center of power in the world right now, or it's fast becoming that. And there's a very it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for us. Oh, thank you for the super chat. That's wonderful. That's awesome. Thank you. Tags reloaded. Wonderful. So so back to the USA. So ethnocentrism, American exceptionalism, this unholy coalition of those things and a conservative form of Christianity is not good at all. There is also a lack of education in the USA. And I don't blame Americans for that because, I mean, it's easy for me as a Norwegian. Most higher education here is, it's not for free. People say it's not for, it's for free. It's not actually completely for free, but it's very, very cheap compared to other countries. It's very cheap. So in the USA, it costs like an insane amount of money to go to, you say, college. I don't know, is college and university the same? No, it's not. Um, uh, yeah, yeah. But then higher education, when higher education is only available to people with rich parents, what you get is, what you miss is all the talent. Kids with an ability for abstract thinking, you need that, and they need to be able to go to university. In the USA, it's not like that. It's very difficult for, if you don't have the money. I mean, it's difficult, and also, I mean, I will say this. This is just my personal opinion. Okay, I think that I think some higher education is maybe not valuable. Okay, or if you have 1,000 people studying, doing the gender studies, I don't know how useful that is. But also, it's very difficult to sit and say, oh, we only need engineers in the future. When I went to university, and I made my choice, and I studied economics, by the way, it was, oh yeah, you need to be an economist, and also work in finance and all of that. That was the big thing back then. So people were wrong. People were wrong about that, and they are probably wrong now as well. So it's dangerous to sit. Politicians should not sit there and say, "Oh, we don't need people doing gender studies. We don't need people doing." I don't know. It's a difficult one. That one. It's a difficult one. But I'm willing to bet that we will need more engineers than PhD candidates on gender studies in the future. I think so. That's just one example, right? But you also have completely useless things, circling back to the Christianity thing, that are not being criticized. It's easy to score some points online criticizing gender studies. What about people going to actual quote unquote universities studying the Bible? I'm willing to bet that we don't need many people doing that, that we don't need anyone doing that if it's not part of a wider study of religions in plural, you know. But nobody's criticizing that, so I'll do that. I believe that higher education should largely be paid for by us taxpayers. It needs to be viewed in the same way as we view hospitals and roads, because if we look back a few decades, it seems like, yes, knowledge is power, and it's going to be more so in the future. So that's another one. I know that most countries do not offer higher education for free. but I think it's a problem. Now, ignorance comes not only through a lack of access to higher education, it starts when you're young. And yeah, good point there, Matt. For heaven's sake, there's no point having engineers if you don't have scientists. Thank you. Good point. Ignorance starts when you're quite young. It's an attitude, because I think ignorance comes when kids have their curiosity crushed. And curiosity is the opposite of ignorance. And I think that when you have rigid, quote unquote, truths, no, excuse my pronunciation there, but when you have rigid rules and adults telling kids, oh, this is the truth, this is what you need to think and believe, and so on, then it destroys curiosity, and that leads to ignorance. So that's a problem. I see it happening more and more here in Norway as well. We saw it during COVID. It's very popular. It's very popular among people who criticize Christianity to also be a fan of vaccines. Said the bad word here on YouTube. Let's see if I'm still monetized tomorrow. I see that as part of a tribalist way of thinking or lack of thinking. If you look at the facts from COVID, the COVID crisis, it was obvious that the vaccination policies were not good. They were not good. They were devastating. And we need to be able to talk about that. But yeah, a little bit of a sidetrack there. So we need people being curious. We need people who are actually who have this attitude that they want to find out things before they form an opinion. But what I'm saying now is the opposite. I see people, first they feel something that leads to an opinion, and then they search for the facts or information, wrong or not wrong, that will confirm their feelings. You should do it the opposite way, you know. So yeah, that's basically it. That's my take on at least three of the issues facing Americans today. Lots of people will disagree. But I think that this disagreement is mostly based on feelings, especially when it comes to Christianity. And that's why at the beginning of this live stream, I talked about snowflakes and that term being used on leftists, being very emotional. I see the snowflake attitude in full display among most of us. We're just human. And when I say that, I think Christianity in the sense that, the Bible is God's word and all of that kind of Christianity, it's just a scam. It's just a scam. And when I say that, people don't like that, because they have strong feelings on that. Um, Mike says mahalo. Did I pronounce that correctly? For that from a Hawaiian Viking in Hawaii. Thank you. Leftists are educated yet stupid. Having a compass for morals is worthwhile for society. I did pronounce it correctly. Oh, thank you. I want to go to Hawaii. I've never been there. I think it's wrong to conclude that leftists are educated yet stupid. I don't think you have any statistics on that. It's just an opinion, I think. Also here, very few of the higher educated are better educated. Higher education has value when you're taught to think critically and not as many are indoctrinated. Well, higher education is about thinking critically. So typically you will have the undergraduate, which is learning the facts, right? And then when you go to the master's and PhD, you do research, which is about thinking critically. It's about the scientific method. If you can't think critically, you won't get a PhD. That's just how it is. That's how it works. Green-eyed lady says, I agree 100% that leftists are educated but stupid. Yeah, I just want to make it clear that I did not say that. I did not say that. Someone else here in the chat said that. You know what? I actually don't care so much if you're left or right. I don't care so much. I think that's a clever way of having people divided and fighting among themselves. If you think about the axis left, right, and you bend the left side of the axis and the right side upwards, and you connect them so it forms a circle. On the top there, you know what you get? You get totalitarianism, big state, less freedom. So it's been said that when you get far enough left or far enough right on that axis or the spectrum there, you can shake hands, if you know what I mean. And I've said before that I'm a theoretical anarchist, meaning that I don't think anarchy would ever work, but it's the only moral way. Anything else is about a threat of violence. Anything else is a threat of violence. Yeah, exactly. If you go far enough left, they'll eventually come around again right. Yeah, because when I think it's about, I think it's all about when you value your principles more than human beings, when you value your code of ethics or whatever you want to call it, when you value that more than human beings, you're on your way to becoming a totalitarian right? And it's like, I don't care if you're a Christian or Muslim or atheist, whatever. I don't care. It should be a private matter, of course. You should leave other people alone with all of that. You know, I don't push my Norse pagan beliefs onto you guys, um, because it's a private matter. But what we are seeing in the USA now, just to add to that, we are seeing a state that is becoming more totalitarian. It's becoming more anti-freedom. I mean, you have Palantir basically pulling the strings in the White House, sitting in the White House next to Trump. I mean, could it get any worse? Could it get any worse? And yeah, Palantir, Peter Thiel, it's really, 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 really bad. uh, it's a worldwide problem. It's a worldwide problem. Yeah. Yeah, Joe, anarchy is the only ethical political position. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's just, I don't think anarchy would ever work. You could say they had an what's it called? I can't remember the term. I was almost there, but they had a form of anarchy on Iceland in the 1200s, a capitalist form of anarchy. But they did kind of have a problem with blood feuds there. So it could get worse, says Alaska Muck. Could have Kamala Gavin Newsom, AOC, or some other leftist extremist. You have an extremist in office now, or extremists. You have that in office now. You have people who actually believe in speaking in tongues and so on, advising the president. You have religious extremists in the administration. So you are already there. You're already there. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think that if I am to make a prediction, I think that the next president will be Democrat, and I think it will be a much more centrist person, because maybe there's a little bit of wishful thinking here. I think it's going to be a more centrist person, because and that's going to be a Democrat, because I don't think that Trump, the MAGA movement, will allow anyone else rising to power on the Republican side, and people will not want to have those same people back in power. So it's going to be a Democrat, and I just hope that, and as I said, there's a little bit of wishful thinking here, but I think that it's going to be a more moderate Democrat. That's what I think, and which is going to be good. Yeah, wishful thinking. Uh, Sweet Polly says, you must receive the baptism of the Holy Spirit. Uh, yeah, Sweet Polly, thank you for that. I will say to you that you need to stop believing in all of that. Go into nature and listen to the ancestors and the gods out there. It will be good for you if you do that. You find the truth. um, let's see here. Uh, no, I haven't seen any flat earthers here in a long time. I don't know where they are, but it's like when I say flat Earth, they I think they message each other and they come to the chat sometimes. Maybe flat Earth is not as fashionable anymore. Um, you know, no, I don't. You know, flat Earth. I think it's boring. I used to think it was kind of funny because it's so far out there, you know. But I think maybe it's not so fashionable anymore. They fell off the edge. Yeah, maybe maybe so. Um, Green-eyed lady says, "I'm not concerned about the Democrats. It's the socialists and communists I'm worried about." Yeah, you know what? Thank you for saying that. So what I'm seeing now is something that anyone with a little bit of knowledge about history should pay attention to. Have you seen on social media the people talking about, not only on social media, but also other people talking about the billionaires? It's always the billionaires. The billionaires are so bad. And they are, like Elon Musk. He's a trillionaire, isn't he? They're so bad. Everything bad that happens is because of the billionaires. And we need to tax the billionaires more and all of that. Have you seen that thing? I'm sure you have. Um, I just want to say this, before I end this live stream, that yes, we can discuss tax policies. I will say that people who write that, they don't understand the difference between the value of a company and the value of a person. There's a big difference. They don't understand what happens when you increase taxes on companies and ownership. What happens? Well, people move to other countries. They move their companies to other countries. So people don't seem to understand that. But more importantly, that attitude that it's the billionaires that are the problem, that attitude we have seen before. I'm talking about the Bolsheviks. It's actually something that worries me quite a lot, because it starts there. It starts with, the billionaires are the problem. And it then extends to ownership. Like if you own a company, if you own a business, that's a problem. If you own two houses, you shouldn't own two houses. That's a problem too. This leads to, well, I guess we could say communism. And it's brutal and it's bloody. And it's going to, if that is allowed to develop, it could just wreck your economy in the USA. Not only in the USA, but it could just wreck the economy. You know, But it could get even worse. It could get, yeah, look at the Bolsheviks. Look at the Bolsheviks. So it worries me, actually, that one. Um, if someone gets very, very rich, good for them. Good for them. Your life will not be better if they tax Elon Musk more. Sorry, that's not how it works. Um, it just isn't. If they tax Elon Musk more, at some point he will just move everything out of the USA. Well, he could move back to South Africa. You know, um, yeah, billionaires like Gates, Musk, Soros, etc., are really sociopaths. And well, they could be. I don't know them. They could be. Um, I'm not saying that they are necessarily good people. They could be very bad. I don't know. But it's important to understand that this could lead to. Now, it has nothing to do with Bolsheviks being atheists. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the attitude that people having more than you are unfair, that is unfair, right? So so if you want to be worried about communists, look in that direction. And it's funny, you have people now who are simultaneously calling billionaires out for not paying more in taxes, and also calling everyone who are leaning left politically communists. That's kind of ridiculous. um, yeah, Mountains of Elysium, thank you. You're saying, I work in the public sector. I can tell you all that extra tax would make no difference. It would be wasted with no benefit to any of the people. Yeah, if you come to Norway and you look at the Norwegian government, the public sector here. Now, actually, I don't know if are you from Norway. Uh, it's how they waste money here is just it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I don't think we need to tax people more. There is enough money. I think there is enough money. It's just that we need to spend the money differently. People who are sick should get help. They should get help for free. Um, but there are people we should not spend money on. I mean, it's the ridiculous rule that, at least in the USA, we talked about Christianity. So if you have a church, you're not paying taxes. That's insane. So we have the mega churches and the pastors buying private jets. We have a royal family here in Norway. They cost us an immense amount of money every year. Get rid of those people. Get rid of those people. We have I will say we need to help people in other countries, like starving children and so on. But a lot of the foreign aid is just feeding corruption. That's another thing, And I'm sure if you go through the whole thing, I know Musk did that in the USA. I think he did a very bad job at it. That's how it looks like. If you go through the administration, I'm sure you could cut costs in half. So, yeah. Let's see here. Is that a question to me? Are you from Norway? Yeah, I'm Norwegian. Yeah. Okay. But okay, I think I've upset enough people already, so I'll just end it here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the super chat also. That was wonderful. I'll be able to eat today. No, just kidding. Yeah. Okay. That's all for now. Have a wonderful day. Yeah. Do check out my channel, Bjorn Outdoors. Yeah, I did the hike. So there are 3 videos there that I uploaded recently. Bjorn Outdoors. Okay. Have a wonderful day.